Who is the shortest NBA player to ever dunk? And just how did he do it? Well, it's actually pretty well documented, but there are a few different ways to look at this question. The shortest player to ever play in the NBA was Muggsy Bogues, who was just 5'3". But Muggsy was an absolute baller. He played 14 seasons in the NBA, most of them with the Washington Bullets, and he had one of the best handles the game has ever seen. But we're here to talk about the dunk, and while Muggsy was not the tallest player, he was by far the most explosive. He had a 44-inch vertical leap. That's nearly a foot in the air. He wasn't slow either. In fact, he ran a 4.2 40-yard dash, which is insanely fast. So yes, Muggsy could absolutely dunk. In fact, he could dunk in practice and during warm-ups, but he never dunked in an actual NBA game. So he's not the answer to the question. We're looking for the shortest player to dunk in an NBA game, and that honor goes to another small but mighty guard, Spud Webb, who at 5'7" was able to dunk all over people in the NBA. The most famous of these coming in the 1986 Slam Dunk Contest, where he went head-to-head against some of the best high flyers of all time, like Dominique Wilkins. This was a time when the Atlanta Hawks were really embracing the dunk contest and trying to make it a big deal. In fact, they held the contest every year from 1985 to 1990, pushing the boundaries of what could be done above the rim. In 1986, the crowd was treated to the likes of Wilkins throwing down two-handed slams, grabbing the top of the backboard, and even dunking backwards. But the favorite going into the dunk contest that year was Wilkins' own teammate, Spud Webb. While Wilkins was considered the high-flying freak of Atlanta, Webb was just the underdog who worked hard and was incredibly determined to win the dunk contest. And win he did in front of his home crowd in Atlanta. In the final round, Webb took off from the free throw line and threw down a monster dunk over the outstretched hands of Dominique Wilkins. The crowd was shocked. Even Wilkins couldn't believe he'd been outdone. And this dunk became an instant classic, one of the most iconic moments in dunk contest history. Webb's performance that night inspired generations of shorter players to believe that they, too, could dunk. And he proved that if you work hard enough and have the heart of a champion, anything is possible. It also helped that Spud had a killer nickname. Webb ended up dunking quite a few times during his career. In fact, the shortest recorded in-game dunk in the NBA belongs to Spud Webb at 5'7". Dunking at that height requires an elite level of explosiveness, perfect timing, and an insane amount of confidence. For reference, the average vertical leap of an NBA player is around 30 inches, so being able to jump nearly twice your height off the ground takes an incredible amount of strength and power. Timing is also crucial when it comes to dunking. A player needs to be able to read the defense and know when to take off in order to get the ball at its highest point. If a player takes off too early or too late, the dunk will be unsuccessful. Confidence is perhaps the most important quality when it comes to dunking. A player has to have the belief in himself that he can do it. If a player is scared of failing or embarrassed, he will not be able to dunk. All of these factors combined to make Spud Webb one of the greatest dunkers of all time, despite his lack of height. What's your favorite dunk, and who do you think is the greatest dunker of all time? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.